Hi, this is Nancy again, and today my video is about scleroderma of the hands, and the aspect we're going to talk about is sclerodactyly, hardening of the skin, and then the contraction of the hands, ulcers, and calcinosis in the hands. So I'm going to show you some photos of my hands and their movement, calcinosis, and the x-rays. And so we're going to get started, and I hope the video is informative for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the hands, because we all see pictures and slideshows of the hands, but sometimes you don't really get the scope of it unless you see live hands. Okay, so I've had scleroderma for quite a while and started with the hands. So my situation is pretty bad, but doesn't mean yours will. So let's just get to it. So as you can see, my fingers, this is as much as they close. Thumb's got a little more movement, and this is as good as we got on opening, unless you push them. The problem with, and I would like to say that, and I'll show you that later, but there are stretching exercises. Spin even has a program to go through, and I know that people are busy, and it seems like you aren't really doing that much, and it won't do anything, so people don't get into the habit of doing it. And I can tell you, if they had had that program when I started having trouble, and if I had kept with it, would I still have curvature and problems? Yeah, probably, but not to this extent. And I've had it like this for quite some time. And so that's just a thought. But okay, so here we're looking at them. We can see we can't move them. I have about this much wrist movement, because all those tendons in that skin is tight. Okay, so now what we're going to do, you won't see it, but when we come back, I'm going to have removed all of these bandages so you can see what it looks like underneath. Because in my fingers, besides the ulcers, most of my ulcers are caused by calcinosis. And it's those nasty little hard calcium things like glass in your hands and your fingers. And you can see one right here that's on the base of my wrist. Now that one is probably the least bothersome. And I have some on my arms and my elbows, but we're going to concentrate on these fingers, we're just going to show you what it's like. But I have been able to keep all my fingers, and I go to the wound clinic, and together we've worked out a proper care for me. I do go quite often, and then they remove what they can of the calcinosis, but it keeps coming back. So we don't over interfere with the fingers, because it'll just make it worse. And if you continue forcing your fingers and you have calcinosis and you know, just ignore the pain and do things, the calcinosis will get extremely worse and cause the ulcers to be a lot worse. So anyways, we're gonna go and take these off and be right back. Okay, so now you can see I removed all the bandages, so you get to, don't get scared, it's not bad. But on the knuckles here, as you can see, of course that's mostly due to the tight skin. There is calcinosis under there, but you know, you get a sore, an ulcer, or even a little cut, and of course the tight skin pulls apart, and then it tries to start healing back and pulls apart. But these ones have had way worse ulcers, and they're actually looking pretty well. If you see on here, this is a little scabbing, but I don't fool with that. My wound clinic has very sharp, tiny tools that they can kind of clean that up and just get the edges so they But this kind of red glob you see in there, and it might not look much to you, but it's raised over, it looks like a big bloody glob. And that happens sometimes because that's called a hypergranulation. What has happened there is it was open and there is some calcinosis under there. The skin isn't able to heal over there yet, but what the body does is it tries to fill that in with a tissue, and it's a bloody tissue. It's really, it's a good tissue, but it has to, sometimes they get really high. As you can see on this finger right here, I don't know if you can tell, but it's got that big tall hump. That was the first one, and in order for it to get the skin to come up, it took a long time. But that one, the hypergranulation got real high, and of course skin can't really heal up. I mean, it's trying to heal over, and now it's got to heal over this big bloody hump. And this one is small, it'll heal up. Oh, not that, this one is small, but it's actually a good tissue. You don't want to tear it off, and you don't want to bust it up. It just looks really, bloody, but it's a good tissue. So anyway, enough of that. So let's just go around here and look at them a little. So we got that. This is a knuckle thing, and you just have to work with them. They will heal. Now this one here, I don't know if you can see that. Is it light? Can you get on this side of it?
This side?
Mm-hmm. You can see he's got 3 calcinosis in there, and they're actually kind of connected together, so they can't be pulled out. Not at this time. Sometimes they'll loosen up. Sometimes they'll break apart, and then they can come out. But right now, this is just to keep it clean, the debris off, skin that goes over it. And of course there's a hole, and the calcinosis are right there, and I can go down and you can hit them. They're just hard as a rock, and you can hit them. And but that one, it looks real bad, but actually it is okay. It's the way it is, but it has to be covered. Now let's go to the thumbs. And these ones, the thumbs, like here, you can see these are hard as a rock. And we do at a point debride them, unless they're connected way down to the bone or something. What a person doesn't want to do is really dig in there and make too much trauma, because you're just going to make the calcinosis come take over that, because it's going to disturb the tissue too bad. But anyway, this is hard. It actually doesn't hurt me, because this is real hard here, and where it sits, it's not too traumatic. I keep it bandaged though. And then on the back of here, this one gets a little bit of slough back there. That has to get cleaned off, or sometimes there's calcinosis in it. But I have x-rays which I'll show, and that's kind of why. So you can look, kind of compare what's here, because on the x-ray, the calcinosis will show up just like bone. It shows up white, just like your bones do. This one here is actually been healing good, because there was inside spot here, and that is now flat. There's still calcinosis under it, but the back of it, that's kind of hypergranulation, and of course it's kind of bloody, but there's still some calcinosis in there which can't come out, but you can see it's trying to cover, and so it's in a pretty good situation. Okay, but there's one thing that is, if it gets to be, if you see anything before you go to your doctor and it gets to be green, sometimes it's kind of just a pussy green that's come out, but you have to make sure that they need to clean that off, and it'll drain a little bit so that you don't get actual infection in it. The other thing that I ran into, weirdest thing, is under the fingernail, there was a little line that came across there, bright green. I mean, bright green. It looks like a luminous green. I mean, like somebody wrote on it with a bright, light, lime, aqua kind of green. It looks, and I didn't think too much of it, because, well, that's a very serious situation, and in bacteria infection in there. And if that happens, and I have a picture of it, so I'll show you, you need to go to Dr. immediately. A wound clinic doctor immediately. And so anyways, I'll show you and talk more about that. So anyway, then we'll go on and show you the x-rays.